even recognize, thinking that I've been shanghaied on the US-Mexico border and had to fight my way back to America for freedom. But it turns out I had just gotten into a taxi cab with the wrong redheaded person, and it was some young lady who told me to get in with her and not my friend Thomas. And I eventually made it back to his apartment, but I only was successful after having left several voice messages telling people that I was lost, but I was definitely asleep in the planter at this park.
In a planter?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So we went live. This is not the same bad time, same bad channel. It's a very different time, and it is still the same channel. This is Sawdust Talk, episode 130, and we are joined by Matthew Abelman. I am one of your hosts. My name is Jessie from Building Jessie, and down below me is TJ from TJT Workshop. And TJ is going to talk about our sponsors before we get into the show.
Good deal. So first sponsor we're going to shout out to is Casey Bombshell Designs. They are our merch creator, our merch provider, and one of the coolest kids on the internet. If you haven't met Layla over at Casey Bombshell Designs, you need to follow her stuff and then buy Sawdust Talk merch, because that's what all the cool kids are doing. Don't you want to be one of the cool kids? And speaking of cool kids, our second sponsor is Surf Prep Sanding Systems. Now, I know that a good shop vac makes for a good dust collector, but let me tell you, a dedicated dust collection system with an integrated power outlet that can not only run your tools, but make sure that the dust situation is well managed is worth its weight in gold. And Surf Prep Sanding Systems makes a fantastic dust collector. Go check out their website, Surf Prep, made in America, totally rad. And then the third kind of sponsor that we're going to talk about is something kind of new, and that is that Sawdust Talk has a Patreon. So you can find us on Sawdust Talk, and if you choose to subscribe via Patreon, it's only $5 a month to buy us a cup of coffee. Helps us get more gear, make more public appearances. It's something new that we're trying out, but all of your support would mean a lot to all of us.
And we have Matthew. Abelman Works.
Able Builds.
From Able Builds.
Able Builds.
Abelwood Custom Studio, Able Builds, Matthew Abelman. The man has many a Instagram and many a different hobbies that he documents.
Yeah, and they're not all live. So there's like 3 in the chamber.
Perfect. So you and I met at Workbench Con.
We did.
You and me and Malcolm, a former guest of the channel, palled around left and right that weekend. Why don't you let the good people know how you ended up at Workbench Con and how you came to know all of these Insta weirdos?
All right. So I was extremely fortunate to be a listener of the Another Woodshop podcast, not to plug them on here,
That's
but
okay.
they sent me to Workbench Con. Yeah. So Pete and Dan drew my name, and they had like secret phrases or something. And by chance, I got it. And I was able to go to WBC 2024. 2023? Was it 2024? Yeah, it was this year.
Or this year.
Yep.
Time and space mean very little to both Jesse and I.
It's been a really weird year. This is my first year doing this. So if I wouldn't have won that, I absolutely would not have gone. There was no money to be possible. But yeah, I got to meet everyone that I pal around with now, honestly, on Instagram.
Yeah. All we had to do was hang out and be friendly. It was awesome.
Yeah, eat some tacos.
Yeah.
It was awesome. No, it was awesome. I just remember meeting you at Workbench Con, and then what was it, our last morning?
Yeah. When y'all were shipping out.
And we sat and talked about my pigs, and I appreciated that so much. It was lovely.
Well, I'd like talking to you guys that are out in Oregon and Washington because I moved to Georgia from there in 2015. So I spent 5 years out there, and I miss it. Wife and I took a trip out 2 years ago, and it was nice to see it again. And I hope that I'll spend some more of my life out there. So I like hearing about it.
You got to come back. I'll reel you back into the Northwest. It's awesome. Tell our listeners kind of who you are and what you do and all of the things.
All of the things I'll tell you some of the things. There's
Some of the things.
all right. I'm Matthew Abelman. I have a couple of businesses that I like to run. I also have a day job where I work as a cabinet maker, miller, fabricator. And we do a bunch of specialty lumber stuff. I'm one of a 2-man team, so it's pretty fun. And I a year ago was a chef. I left that after 15 years because I started listening to these podcasts. It's everyone's fault on podcasts, honestly. I started, yeah, I started thinking, oh, this is possible. I always like to make things, but I'd like take things apart and make them into something else. Not necessarily like now I've got a 3D printer and whatnot because you have to, even that little cheap guy. I really dove in when I bought my little CNC that I've got. I've got a Shapeoko 3, so it's pretty old. But I was making guitars at that time, and that's what I really wanted to do. And I was like, if I can bang these bodies out really quick without the human error, then I can focus on finishing and color and all that, and make the rest by hand. And decided to give it a go and leave. And my wife said, as long as you pay your bills, I don't care what you do. I was like, all right, let's do it. So I started working for cabinet shops and some contracting stuff in the middle of it, and just documenting random stuff on Instagram just to try to get some more followers. Try to figure out, how to work with brands, how to get small sponsorships and stuff, and sort of the hotkeys to hit. So WorkbenchCon helped out a lot for that, just knowing how to really streamline a lot of that content creation stuff. So
you are kind of like a very smaller creator, we could say. I mean, you don't have massive numbers, but you did a project with someone that kind of put your face out there.
I did.
How did you meet Malcolm, and how did you end up in that relationship?
I met Malcolm. We all left WorkbenchCon and went to Superica at the Battery in Atlanta, and I don't know. He was standing beside me, looking all glum, like like he does, and and I started cutting up with him, and I think I ended up sitting down with Alex from Duffy Woodcraft. But when we went to leave, I remember Malcolm said something. Somebody told him, "Man, that's a nice kid." And Malcolm told me later, he was like, "He's not nice, and he's not a kid." I wanted to take a selfie with him, and he gave me the two birds, and I was like, "Whoa! I just wanted a selfie," and then guilt tripped him about it, but he saw right through me, and so when the competition came up, I reached out to him to see if he would want to get up, and he said yes after I really wore him down. So
you gave him the Steve Urkel
cool
treatment. Just wore him down, huh?
Yeah. I think I made him mad too, though. So Malcolm, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, because I didn't know this, but my wife planned a vacation in the middle of that timeline.
Ah.
So there were a lot of things that I was going to physically make, but then I didn't have time to do that. So I went to making a song because I've been a musician since I was like 9. So I figured that's something that I can do, like for real, do that. So I made like 5 or 6 different songs, and we were sending them back and forth. Like, I like this part, I don't like that. This isn't good for this, and then tweaking it and whatnot. And Malcolm made this amazing like Paduke monster box to hold this record player, because the original idea was to make a song, send it to a guy who cuts like individual vinyls, and then have it sent back to me, and then make a like a relief of that, and then pour epoxy and have an epoxy record of the song that I made, and then send it to Malcolm, and then have him play it on this record player. So the record part didn't happen, obviously, but the box that he made was just killer. It was like Little Shop of Horrors. Is when I told him about my idea on the record player, and he was like, I got an idea. And I was like, run with it, man. And then he sent me his AI rendering, and he was like, I'm thinking of this. And I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Let's do it. So, but when I went on vacation, I thought I was going to have like signal or Wi-Fi or something. And I didn't for like the last 5 days. And so I just like ghosted him. And I was, so we got it submitted and everything, but he reached back out to me, and he was like, that was real. It was real not cool, man. So.
Aww.
Yeah. But Malcolm forgives. He doesn't forget, but he does forgive.
He does not forget, yeah. Which is great. I mean, I love him. I got to see him when he came down to Atlanta a while ago. So it's nice.
That is awesome. So tell us a little bit about cabinet making and day jobs, and then we'll start hopping around your various different forays, because you got a lot of different layers to you.
I hope so.
What kind of jobs are you guys doing as cabinet makers? Are you getting subbed from custom kitchen designers, or how does that go?
So I guess I'm one of 3, because the third guy is the owner, and he's got like 6 businesses. His name is Michael Jordan, and it's not that Michael Jordan. But he's a custom home builder, and a master plumber. We don't do any plumbing or anything, but he's got a whole GC side, and then he's got a fabrication side. So anything from like we just did a run of like 14 white oak stair treads, and so these giant 48 by 11 by 3.5 stair treads, and then they're like a suspended stairs, and then we've got these white oak slats, so this like contemporary modern look. So we fabricated those, and I'm unsure whether now the timeline is working out to where we have to install them or not, but a lot of these jobs, like we'll do like a custom vanity. We've got a radiused vanity with fluted doors that we're working on at the same time. And we're going to go install that one. We do like remodeling bathrooms and stuff like that. So he'll have us do cabinets, pantries, doors, gates. I did a Sapili pair of gates. And then he'll have his other contractors come in and do like the tiling, the marble, the quartz and stuff like that, the electrical and all of that. So it's kind of all in-house, and we see each other, but we don't do the same jobs, which is pretty neat.
Right on. Do they ask you to do things like custom closet inserts or any of that stuff, or do they reach out to a different team?
No, that's us.
Well, that's fun, man.
Yeah.
Nice to have consistent work for sure.
It's consistent, and it's all different, which I need in a workplace. Like that's one of the best things about coming from like the restaurant, was that it's a menu every day, but the day is not the same.
Yeah.
And on the same side of the token, it killed me that the menu is always the same. So we'd have to switch it up, every couple months or so to keep our interest. But so it's neat to have like a new project because I really like seeing something from the beginning and then done and then leave, because I'm not used to doing that. I'm used to just leaving and coming back and doing the same thing, this and ostensibly the same actions. So it's really nice to have a timeline and an end date on stuff.
So
That's awesome. And so
we've talked about the maker side of stuff, and we talked about your day job, but tell us about the other aspects of Ableman Works. Or did I mess it up again?
No. So Able Builds is an idea that I had because I was blessed with this last name Ableman, and there you go. I can give you 3 more to write on there if you want. I always love my last name, like a lot. There's people would make fun of it and say disablement or anything, but I'm like, there's not really anything that you can spin that into that's not kind of cool. So I always had this like thought in the back of my head, like I literally can do whatever, which is bad sometimes because you can, but you have to do it in order to be good at it. And so I start doing something and get frustrated that I'm not good, and that's tough sometimes to like rein yourself in, and be like, you're gonna have to do a 10,000 hours, to be a master of that. So like, calm down, give yourself room to fail. And so that's all this year has been trying different things and failing at them and sticking with the things that I feel like I could pull through, because I wanted to see myself get better at that. Like cabinets are not easy. They seem really easy. I went into it and I was like, this is going to be great. We're cutting plywood. But it's down to the 32nd. Every cut, you know what I mean? Like, it's the way that you mark the cut. Like, I don't even carry a pencil around anymore. I carry a paring knife that I had from doing like strawberries and mushrooms and stuff, because it's really, really thin. And I mark with that because I need every single cut to be that precise. And that's when I was doing carpentry, like as a kid with my uncle. He's a timber framer. It was just like, slap chop this and throw it up, but it's a different world, man. So it's a lot of learning, and I'm really lucky. My boss is a very patient man, and he's got a lot of really good tools. Like, we got a bunch of Lee Nelson stuff that I get to play with every day. And he takes his time and explains things, which is nice. But on the like layers of me outside of that and making, I don't do much.
That's not true. You make music.
Yeah, I try. I try. I was in a Christian metal band in high school when that was a big thing in the 08 to 2012. We did like a little mini tour of like South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee, and that was a lot of fun. But after that, I started rapping. And mainly because it's the same reason that we all started making, though, because I was tired of having to like need other people to do my thing. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't play drums. So instead of learn how to play drums, I would just do a different kind of music, because I went to school for writing, and I was like, let's just write. I like hip hop. I'll just write raps. I'll make beats. I can do everything myself. And so I did. I still do sometimes, but like I never wanted to do anything with it, like monetarily. So as I, put my hand in more pies, that I do that less. So.
I see the keyboard sitting behind you there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I want you to play something for us, but I digress.
I don't know. That might have to be Patreon exclusive content.
There you go.
Um, so you and I were talking cars a little bit before the show started. I have a tendency to wrench on my own vehicles because I have old cars and they're a lot easier to work on than cars that are all computers. Um, but you pick up wrenches and take cars apart also. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, that's another thing you learn to do when you're poor. You know, I mean, not saying, but there is, you know what I mean. There's a reason we're not in 2022 trucks, or 2024 trucks. But I don't think I own the newest car that I've ever owned right now, and it's a 1999 Forerunner. I've never had anything newer than that. My first car in 2010 was an 84 Toyota SR5. Um, and I ran that thing into the ground because because I had no idea how to maintain cars. Um, but something also happened that year that I think is a turning point to that. I got my next car after that was like a Saturn. It's like little. Okay, I lied. It was a 2001 Saturn, so that was the newest one I ever had. But my grandpa used to collect antique cars. So he had like Model Ts, Model As. He had a DeLorean. He had two. One caught on fire, and then he got another one. And I remember riding around with him when I was like 5 in the DeLorean. And I thought it was the coolest car because it is the coolest car with the coolest backstory of any car, except maybe like the Shelby. But he he took me to dinner or to lunch one day, and this is after like he was sick for a little bit, and I had told him months previous. I was like, "Look, Grandpa, I'm not trying to hint on anything, but like he had a couple million. Like he worked really really hard. He was in the Air Force and engineer, um, and I was like, look, if anything ever happens to you, like I don't want any money. If there's anything in it for me, like I just want the car. Like I just want the DeLorean. I think my uncle and my dad are not gonna. They'll sell it. Like no one cares about that car. I just want it to remember you. And he was like, all right. So when he takes me to lunch that day, normally it's him and my grandma, but this time it's just him. And he goes, look, I rewrote my will the other day, and the car's in there for you. And don't worry, there's also money in there. And I was like, Grandpa, I don't need that. And he goes, I'm giving you a DeLorean. You're gonna need some money. Like I was like, okay. And he goes, now you don't get it until you're 35, because by then you should know how to care for vehicles. And so like after that day, I was like, okay, I have to learn how to not shit on these cars. Like so
Aww.
so yeah, when stuff breaks, I try to fix it, try to get the parts and stuff. One, because I'm too cheap to go to a mechanic, and it's not that hard because I am willing to get dirty and nasty. I've got dirt all over myself because I was in the junkyard all day today. I got there as soon as they opened because I knew I had to be back for this. I didn't know that I was early, but um,
Time's
once
on.
I figured out
Fine.
once I figured out that you can modify cars, like I saw somebody like modifying things, and with the magic that you can do with fiberglass and Bondo, I was like, this is a crazy world. Because I have no loyalty to brands of cars at all. Like I'm thinking about LS swapping the Ford. And I asked somebody if they'd done it before on a Ford forum. Don't do that.
No, no,
Don't
that
don't
probably
do
went
that.
over like a lead balloon, man.
God, they were so mad. And I was like, look, well, the Ford engine doesn't work and the Chevy engine does. So, like,
Yeah, they're like,
but
oh, just go get a Coyote, take.
that's exactly what they said. That was the first comment was why not Coyote swap it? And I was like, because I have an LS or an LY5 and I don't have a Coyote. Like, it's
Oh my gosh.
like, it's the same amount of work at that point. But yeah, I like it. I like it. I have a project going on right now that I'm really excited about because I reached out to Black Diamond Pigments. You guys know them, and I was like, hey, I just figured out that you can put mica powder in a clear coat and spray it over, like the black base or whatever, and get this crazy like color on anything. And I was like, perfect. Let's repaint the truck because it looked like junk. And I had to clear coat anyway.
That's the
So
flake about.
yeah. It's a little smaller because it's the mica powder, so it takes the gloss clear coat and makes it a matte clear coat, which is also really cool though. So I was like, perfect. It hides imperfections more. Mm-hmm. And I had to do a lot of Bondo and stuff. A tree fell on the truck last year. We had a bunch of trees blow down in the wind. It smashed the hood. So I fixed that all up, and I ran out of green that I got with some epoxy. And so I reached out to them and I was like, hey, do you guys want to maybe throw some powder in I'll shout you out? And they were like, they went silent for like 3 days. They didn't read it for 3 days. And I was like, well, I need it by the weekend, so I'm going to go ahead and buy it. So I bought all the different greens that I could get, like 51 grams of each. And then they reached out yesterday and they were like, hey, this sounds great. Yeah, just let us know. And I was like, well, I already bought it. So here's the order number. I don't know if you guys want to like send something else or like refund me or something and that be the sponsorship. And they were like, we'll take care of it. I was like, I don't know what that means, but okay. Like,
who knows?
So we'll see.
All right, we'll give him another shout out and then send him a message that you shouted him out on a podcast with extensive listenership.
All right, thousands of listeners. Hello.
There's dozens of them out there.
That's blackdiamondpigments.com.
Black Diamond's awesome though. As a company, they're great.
Yeah.
And they're always coming out with new stuff too, which is really cool. So, I mean, I actually have a project that's been in the works for probably 9 months or a year, and I need to finish it so I can tell everyone what it is. But it's coming.
Black Diamond has also been very generous with the Royal Order of Woodturners and helping us out with stuff. So we can shout out Black Diamond, and then, I don't know, maybe we'll send some messages out after the episode. But we like them over here too.
Is it literally the Royal Order of Woodturners?
Indeed.
That is, and all we get is guild?
Sorry for you.
Man, I'm going to turn some wood.
Yeah, go buy yourself
so cool. The Royal Order. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I am the vice president of the Royal Order of Woodturners. You can find them on Instagram. And once you go through the membership process, you too can be one of the Royal Order. It's a fun internet-based wood turning club.
That's awesome.
We are international also, which is pretty cool.
Don't you have to turn wood though?
It is part of the admission process.
Like on the lathe, or just spin a log around? Because I can.
Well, so the thing is,
I
don't think I would discourage you from applying ever. I would say that part of it is creating a video so that we can see your shop and we can see your techniques, and make sure that if you're going to be a part of the group chat, that you can offer similar mentorship as the board.
You're not flinging logs around.
Yeah, or helping people get hurt. Yeah, that's the opposite of what we seek to do there.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't join simply. I don't have a lathe and I'm not there yet. I'm going to try to get better at just joinery first and all. Well, but I will get there. So it's good to know that you guys exist.
Working on a lathe, even if it's, it says Bauer on the side of it and it came from Harbor Freight and it was $450. That money doesn't grow on trees. I get that, but it's a nice tool, and it can be acquired for a very reasonable price.
Yeah, we had to send some stuff off to be. We did a cedar light post last week, and we had to glue it all up and then send it down to Atlanta because it was 6 feet 8 inches. So we had to put it on a giant lathe, and we went down there and had them turn it. It'd be nice to have.
A 6-foot lathe would be very nice to have. They are uncommon.
Oh, I meant just a lathe in general, but yeah,
yes,
that
would concur. It's always.
I probably don't need that. I do dangerous things.
Dude, so, but you also probably own a motorcycle or a scooter helmet, right?
Nope.
Oh, Well, get one from Facebook
I just huff
Marketplace.
gasoline. That's not.
Oh yeah, classic. But yeah, no, I didn't hardly have any gear when I first started. I turned, instead of in a face shield, I had a scooter helmet lying around because I knew how dumb I was, and I've ricocheted a few pieces off of that scooter helmet learning how to do it. But now it's super fun, man.
I believe it. This stuff can get dangerous. I
Yeah.
put a wire wheel on an angle grinder the first time, and I had, face protection and everything, but I didn't know to put on an extra thick shirt or a leather apron, because when you pull your shirt off and it sticks because you got all these wires in your belly. It's nuts. Stuff is way more dangerous than we give it credit for sometimes.
Yeah. No,
so.
when you're flinging wire wheels or even knotted wire wheels, that debris goes all kinds of exciting places. It's not just cutting discs. Wear your gear, kids. That's the moral of this story. If you're still listening this far into the episode, wear your gear, kids.
So Matthew, we had a question in the chat from none other than Mr. Alex Duffy, who we all love. He had two questions, actually. As a chef, what was your favorite thing to cook?
I swear that is the most asked question I've ever heard in my life, and I don't feel like I ever give it a good answer. I can say now that I've stopped doing it every day, because after like 8 years, I wasn't cooking anymore. You know what I mean? Like I was cooking for menu development and stuff, but I didn't cook every day. So now that I'm home and I'm cooking meals for my brother and my wife, it's Southern food, man. It's what I grew up eating. It's simple because it's simple, but it's not. You know what I mean? And so my dad, growing up, still is, but growing up, he was my biggest influence in the kitchen because he is a fantastic cook. And he was gone 5 nights out of the week, 5 days out of the week. So when he was home on the weekends, he would go crazy. And so it's like potatoes au gratin, barbecue chicken, anything barbecued. Because if I went back to the kitchen, that's exactly what I would do. I would do that. I wouldn't do anything else, but barbecue, I'm a beast at. So, and it brings me such joy to pull out this big, thick. So I guess that's the answer, barbecue. You pull out this big brisket, slice it, and you hand somebody like the live barbecue piece and watch their face just light up. Like that is the coolest feeling. So yeah, barbecue.
And I'm hungry now. Second part.
I hope you're happy.
You didn't eat before this?
Jesse's house.
The second part of his question was, as a maker, what do you like to make? What's your favorite thing to build?
Oh, those are different. My favorite thing to make is a mess. I mean, a well orchestrated mess.
Okay, build. Let's say build.
To build, I really like. I like making things with functionality in it. I get stuck a lot of times not making things because it's all form. And sometimes I want to do that. Sometimes I see a cool piece of wood and I'm like, this wants to do, like a cool curve in it and stuff, but there's no functionality for that. I think I would be a terrible artist because I need those parameters in order to be creative, where it has to do this and it has to be this size. You know what I mean? Like I'm good at making things fit in other things. So things like, I 3D printed a bunch of accessories for my desk to keep because I'm also a very messy person. So to use those talents to organize myself, because I love being organized. But if I don't figure that out first before I get excited and start doing something, I will never put stuff away where it's supposed to go because it doesn't have a place it's supposed to go. So I had to create a system. I've got this box that holds my interface underneath my desk, and I've got speaker mounts and stuff like that. and then things with cars. I've been working on for a little bit, and that's not to be cryptic, but I can't go into that too much. So hopefully soon. But yeah, stuff for Maju. I forgot the word.
Was that a bash at us because we were being cryptic before the show?
No. I mean, kind of, but not really.
We have
like
to be
half-hearted. That's
we
yeah.
have secrets that have to remain secrets.
Oh, that's way worse.
Mm-hmm.
Join the Patreon. Maybe you'll.
Yeah. All the cool kids that are on Patreon might get to find out about the cool kids' secrets.
I hear you.
So
I hear you.
Matthew, what did we miss? What didn't we get a chance to talk about?
Hobbies, I guess.
Yeah.
Hobbies?
All of that isn't hobbies. I hike a lot. I think that's another. I hike and camp a lot. I don't think it's because I'm poor, but it might be. Like, I got to get outside. Like, you know what I mean? You got to. I don't feel like I'm talking to anybody that doesn't know that. Like, you got to go outside. You got to, even if it's super hot, like, just go. Put your feet in the grass. You're going to go crazy. I think that's a reason why so many people are like depressed and feel lost and whatnot, because you need to reconnect with like the planet that we're on. You know what I mean? So it's harder to do in cities, but go to the park, smell some grass or something. Yeah.
How much do you miss the Pacific Northwest and hiking and outdoors stuff?
I can just log off right now. I'll see you there. Like, I miss it. I miss it so much. So I lived in Portland, by like right near where Alex is, and I was in Troutdale actually, and we would drive out to Multnomah Falls and hike up through there, all of the falls. And so when my wife and I went, we flew into Seattle, and then our hotel was in Tacoma. So we drove immediately from Seattle to Tacoma, and then woke up at like 5 a.m. and then drove along the Olympic Peninsula, like all the way up and all the way back down, and stopped in like every single beach down there. And it was, God, it was cold, and it was so fun. Like, because it's a different kind of cold. Also, I mean, it's somewhat humid, but it's like your clothes do something. When it gets cold here, it's like it's in your bones.
Yeah.
And there's no snow. Like, I'm tired of not having snow when it's cold. Like, at least give me a reason. Like, but I'm not a huge fan of the ocean out there. That's the only caveat that I have, because the ocean is constantly cold over there. And here, it's like warm bath water. So, like, if there's a medium ocean somewhere, like, let me know in the comments, because I'll go there.
That's Mexico.
Mexico? That's great.
Mexico
Tons of
has
sharks.
Perfect ocean.
I am terrified of sharks. So
don't go where the sharks are.
in the water?
That's why
No.
you come
Where there's no sharks.
We don't have big creepy crawlies. We don't have big giant snakes. We don't have super crazy catastrophic, like, storm stuff. It's just perfect.
Like a nuclear meltdown in Tokyo? Or earthquakes?
Well, I mean,
we don't have those.
Like
Circle of Fire? No, I'm just kidding. I do miss it. I miss the mountains. Like, if I didn't live this close to the mountains here, I wouldn't be here. Like, and these aren't the same at all. Like, they're like foothills. But I do miss looking up and seeing Mount Hood or Mount Rainier. But I don't know. I'm gonna move out of the immediate south. We're going coastal at some point, and we're still tossing up whether we're gonna go Pacific Northwest, because I don't want to go to California. I never have. I don't want to. It would be Washington. What is it, Aberdeen, that Kurt Cobain's from?
Mm-hmm.
That town looked like my dream. There were like cow pastures and a valley and then like a bay and then the ocean. And I was like, this is the coolest place. Like fog everywhere. It's so nice. So
I will send you all the links. I'll be like, here's a property, here's a property, here's a property. This is a good place. This is a good place. I'll get you guys out here. It's fine.
nice.
All right, boys and girls, it is getting to the top of the hour, and we have a couple of sponsors and things to discuss before the show wraps up. One of which, and naughty me, I forgot to mention Makers for St. Jude because I was trying to remember to mention Patreon. Selfish me. But let's talk about selfless acts of makerism. And selfless acts of makerism include creating projects and then donating the proceeds from their sale and auction to the Makers for St. Jude fundraising page. Mike is a rock star. You can find him at Woodworkers for Cancer or Makers for St. Jude on Instagram. The goal for this year is $35,000. We are, well, I think after his amazing show that he had this weekend at the gravel bicycle races, he raised another $1,000, so we're probably at least at we lost Matthew. We'll get him back in here. But yeah, so we're easily at 21,000 and counting, and we have the fall challenge coming up with amazing prizes, and you're going to learn more about those prizes on a future episode of this show, which is really exciting stuff. So you need to tune in the coming weeks. Make sure you're not missing any Sawdust Talk so that you can get the inside scoop on some Makers for St. Jude fun. We need to take another lap through Casey Bombshell Designs. Layla is a rock star. Check out her scroll saw work and then buy Sawdust Talk swag from Casey Bombshell Designs. And then Surf Prep Sanding Systems. Look, life's rough. Rough sawn wood is rough. Dogs say rough. And in the state of Ohio, the top of a house is capped with a rough. But let me tell you what's pretty dang smooth. Your wood, your projects, your epoxy, after getting a solid rub down from a Surf Prep sander with Surf Prep abrasives. If you're not using Surf Prep gear, shame on you. No, Hannah, we love you. Thank you for your support. Please check out Surf Prep. And if you want a discount, you can use promo code Sawdust Talk to save percents. And that would be lovely. And then a final shout out to our Patreon. It's brand new. We would love to have you help support the show on a monthly basis. We will work out details and work with our Patreon subscribers to create for them the things which they feel are worthy of their subscription, and more details to come. But you can find us on Patreon as Sawdust Talk.
In bio.
That link in bio. I'm so proud of you.
You're welcome.
Link in bio. I'm so proud of you. Matthew, at the end of every episode, one of the things that we do is we ask our guests for a motivational thought or an idea or a quote. And in your case, maybe it's even just a sound lyric, something that gets you out of bed, that gets you going, gets you ready to open the door to your workshop and work on something that might be a challenge or something that you're afraid to start. Who knows? What would you like to share with the cool kids in the audience?
Oh man. I just drink caffeine and get out there. No, I don't know. Just like don't be afraid to fail and F it up. You're gonna. But like do that now so that you can move on. I guess that's the biggest thing that I have to remember.
No, I firmly agree with this. I know for a fact that every kindergartner I've ever seen play soccer is terrible at it. But when they start in kindergarten, they usually grow up to be high schoolers or professional athletes that are extremely good at soccer, right? And we all have to start somewhere, right? And that means getting out there, holding tools, making mistakes, and breaking stuff. Dude, I totally get it. You're absolutely spot on.
I love it too. Matthew Abelman, thank you for coming on.
Thanks,
I think
guys.
people can find you on Instagram as Matthew_Abelman. We will link you in our stuff when we post this. My name is Jesse, Building Jesse, TJ of TJT Workshop. And thanks for joining us for episode 130. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And thank you also for being a part of Makers for St. Jude, because you did do a raffle in the spring, and we'd love to have you back for fall.
That was super fun. He is such a cool guy.
Absolutely.
You guys, for everyone that donated to that and also bought raffle tickets. That was awesome.
All right, TJ,
All right.
you want out?
Well, we will see you this Thursday at our usual bat time on our usual bat channels.
Wednesday?
What did I say?
Thursday.
Who are you people? Where's my horse? What's going on here? Wednesday.
Thanks for having me on, guys.